Hey guys, Disloader Magic here. It's time for more spoilers from Ixalan, although a spoiler about the spoilers, that's right, a meta spoiler. The next spoiler video, or perhaps the one after it, depending upon how many cards we have, is going to be quite literally a leak. I mean, I don't think that Wizards wanted this out there. It completely and utterly ruins the entire storyline. Some jackass decided to leak a whole bunch of cell phone pics, as usual, of the art book with a whole bunch of stuff explaining the storyline and the lore. So, if you don't want massive spoilers, don't watch that video. I will give a spoiler warning at the beginning of it. So this is the card spoilers, but as far as the storyline spoilers and art spoilers, that'll be in probably the next video. So watch for that unless you don't want to ruin the entire story. So for now, we've got Admiral's Order. Oh boy, it's that one lady that was, I don't know, someone important. I don't remember who the hell they put on that card, and I don't care. It's an instant cost 3 raid. If you attacked with a creature this turn, you may pay 1 rather than pay the spell's mana cost. That's pretty nuts. Counter target spell. So, yeah, they're not going to hit you with Settle the Wreckage. This is kind of neat because, I mean, it's basically an improved cancel. I don't think that this is quite on par with Disallow, but I think it'll probably be $5 minimum. I mean, this is a really, really damn good counter spell. Next up, we got a so-so card, kind of a waste of a rare because it's not that great, but Bishop of Bindings, it's a 1/1 for 4. Oh boy, that's not easily destroyable. When it enters battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. So typical, kind of a garbage version of Fairgrounds Warden. But whenever it itself attacks, it as a 1/1 has to attack. Wow. Target vampire, which I guess you could target itself. I mean, gets +X until end of turn, where X is the power of the exiled card, but only during combat, only after declaring it as an attacker. So that's kind of cool if you got rid of something big, and if you didn't, I mean, it's kind of a waste of a card. So it's removal with like a really powerful creature, so it's actually pretty good. I could see this being somewhat popular. But it's one of those things where it's situational, and you don't want your biggest attack power in the deck to be situational. That's not good. Oh, and if you exile a token, I'm 99% sure this stays at a 1/1. Next up, Daring Buccaneer, another card that absolutely forces you to play Tribal. I hate Tribal decks, and I hate this card. It's a 2/2 for 1. Woo! Doesn't have haste or anything. But as an additional casting cost, you have to reveal a pirate or pay 2 extra. So late game, if you top deck this, it's useless garbage. I mean, you probably have the 3 mana, but still, 3 mana for a 2/2, that's just stupid. And early game, yes, of course you have a pirate in your hand, duh. So yeah, Force Tribal, I hate it. Next up, Dead Man's Chest. It's a 2-cost enchantment, it's an aura, and it's a rare, ooh. Enchant creature an opponent controls, and when enchanted creature dies, exile cards equal to its power from the top of its owner's library. You may cast non-land cards, all of them, from among them for as long as they remain exiled. Ooh, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast those spells. Holy crap, is that powerful. That is unreal. Next up, Erali Primal Storm. I'm going to take a wild guess that there's going to be either 3 or 5 primal dinosaurs, because there's like, I don't know, 3 already that we know of. But dinosaurs are only in, I think, 3 colors. I don't know. It depends. This is pretty nuts. It's a 6/6 for 6, and when it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying the mana cost. Boy, they just really, really love this free casting garbage, don't they? This is overpowered, broken, ridiculous garbage. This is the first card that I truly and sincerely have a problem with. I mean, it does cost 6, okay, but the second that it attacks, they get 2 free spells. Well, unless somebody pops a land, but in multiplayer, this is just outrageous. Now, the timing is a little bit suspect because it says whenever it attacks, so as soon as it's declared as an attacker, boom, on the stack trigger, then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying the mana cost. So immediately, if you decide not to, they remain exiled. So I assume if you go to declare blockers, that's too late. So when they say you may cast, does it mean you may cast if you actually may cast it? Like if it's a creature, that's not sorcery speed, so can you not cast the creature? I think you can, because I've seen cards worded this way before, but it'll be interesting to read the actual rulings. The use it or lose it aspect is interesting because it would almost have to be like a boost spell. If it's a counter spell, you can't do anything with it. And maybe if it's a creature you can't, but I'm not sure. But stealing an opponent's card off the top of their deck and just playing it is just stupid. Next up, Watley's back because she's a non-white woman. That is literally the only reason. She's a 3 loyalty for 4, which is pretty darn cheap. And +1, put a loyalty counter on Huatli for each creature you control. So that's broken. And her -1, is target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Oh my god, if you drop her out with like 4 or 5 creatures on the field, you'll just win the game. This is just idiotic. Her -8, which you could literally do the turn after she comes out, is whenever you get an emblem with, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Honestly, it's an emblem, that's cool, but there's already an enchantment that does this. So honestly, her +1 does nothing. I mean, it literally does nothing. The -1 is only -1, and the -8, I guess you could have 2 or 3 or 4 of them. That'd be kind of cool because they're not considered legendary permanents. But the -8 mixed with the -1 is going to be pretty nuts. I mean, you could boost it pretty high. I think she's kind of not great, but also kind of great. It'll depend if people bother dropping her into some kind of dinosaur or ascend deck. Obviously, you'd put her in an ascend deck because, 10 permanents. Yeah. Next up, let's ruin the story. Induced amnesia. Oh, look, he gives Raska amnesia. That's ironic and a fun twist because remember, he had amnesia. Ha ha ha. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care about any of these characters. When induced amnesia enters the battlefield, target player exiles all cards from his or her hand face down, then draws that many cards. Ooh, fun. Wheel of Fortune. When induced amnesia is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, good, they said from the battlefield, return the exiled cards to their owner's hand. Oh wow, so they get all of them back, and they're in addition to the cards they drew. That is crazy. So if you put in like 4 times 4 enchantment destructions, you could hit yourself, draw all new cards, draw one of them, destroy it, and then hold like 15 cards or whatever, or 14, I guess, probably. Actually, no, it would be less. You'd have to discard a bunch of them, so I don't really know what the point would be, but it's like a free draw spell for like 3+ enchantment destruction mana. It's a bit of a long shot, kind of dumb. I would probably just Wheel of Fortune my opponent's hand, but I mean, if they have enchantment destruction, you just gave them a whole bunch of new cards. Yeah, you probably just gave them enchantment destruction. So I don't know. This one, it's interesting. I mean, you almost have to know what's in your opponent's hand to know if this is a good idea or not. It's certainly an interesting card, though, and it might have some kind of thing to do in, like, Modern Commander or something, who knows. Next up, Jade Light Ranger. It's a 3-cost 2/1 merfolk. Thank God it's a weak merfolk, because I hate merfolk, and the weaker they are, the better. When it enters the battlefield, it explores, then explores again. Okay, I guess it's not weak. Should have probably read the card. Well, that's ridiculous, because it's basically a 4/3 for 4, which actually isn't that outrageous in green, but pulling 2 lands would be pretty nuts. Honestly, the double explore trigger is kind of cool. This might not even really technically go in a merfolk deck. It could go in an all explore deck, which is becoming more and more of a thing. So, should be interesting, I guess. Next up, military douchebag cliche walking stereotype cartoon characters awakening. Cost 4, it has Ascend, which you'll probably never get to. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. That's stupid. That's like Master of Feast. If you have the city's blessing, instead only you draw a card. Yeah, obviously. So drastically terrible of an idea, except that it'll get you to have the city's blessing because you'll be outdrawing. But Master of Feast was never worth it. Never worth it to put in a deck. Giving your opponent double the card draw is just stupid. At least this moves the game along. I mean, that's kind of nice because you're both double drawing, and then once you get to 10, only you draw. So, I mean, I guess you could say it's a good card, and it itself counts towards Ascend. So, I don't know. I'd probably maybe put it in something real particular. Next up, we got a 2/2 for 2 Legion Lieutenant. It's a vampire, and other vampires you control get +1/+1. Yay! More overpowered tribal garbage, as if vampires weren't OP enough. This is ridiculous. Next up, literally the same exact card. They just want you to pick the best tribal. There's clearly going to be a best tribal. Spoiler alert, it's vampires. And you're just going to build that deck. And everybody's going to be running mirror matches. This is just idiotic. Other merfolk get +1/+1. Wow. Great. Next up, Paladin of Atonement. It's a 1/1 for 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you lost life last turn, put a 1/1 counter on Paladin of Atonement. I assume they mean during your opponent's last turn, not your last turn. Doesn't really say, actually. When Paladin of Atonement dies, you gain life equal to its toughness. That's kind of nice. I like this. This is it's like some kind of weird version of lifelink where you don't really actually have to hit them. It's also like a delayed Wall of Essence, so this is actually like a really neat card. Próxima tenemos Camino del Descubrimiento. Se dice siempre que una criatura entre al campo de batalla Bajo to control. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, in case you don't know Spanish, explore. Oh, I mean explora. Condora. That's pretty nuts if you really want to stack up those explore triggers. I mean, you're going to just be going through your deck at like 1,000,000 cards an hour. So, I don't know. It's a little late. It costs 4. It's like, how many more creatures could you possibly drop out? But, I don't know. I mean, because if you explore and it's a non-land, you have to leave it on the top of your deck or ditch it. You can't put it in your hand. Unlike, that one card, Rash Me. Still, the more explore, the better, because it's a fun mechanic. Too bad, black-white vampires are going to dominate the game. Next up, we got Pirate's Pillage. Little blue monkey dude again. Love them. Cost 4, it's a sorcery, and it's red, so it's probably garbage. As an additional cost to cast Pirate's Pillage, discard a card, as if it wasn't bad enough. Draw 2 cards and create 2 treasures. Alright, I mean, that's distinctly blue. Don't know why they felt like messing with what colors do what in this set, because we already have, like, basically a white-red card. Very odd. Will also help cycle a bunch of garbage you don't need out of your hand, and even if you did need the card, just pull 2 to replace and get 2 treasures. I mean, that'll go a long way in red, so... it does cost 4, it's a little slow for red, but it's a good card. Very powerful. Next up, Ravenous Chupacabra, because Wizard seems to think that the Aztec zone, the whole Mayan Empire, and Mexico are all really just the same thing, and who cares? I'm sure they don't have any, minor differences or anything. Well, I mean, honestly, they think all white people look alike. Apparently, Norwegians and Jewish people are, like, exactly the same. Anyway, when Ravenous Chupacabra enters the battlefield, destroy target creature and opponent controls. That is nuts. I love it. Too bad it's a weak, useless, beast horror, non-tribal piece of crap. This is basically a garbage version of Noxious Gear Hulk. So, I mean... It's still a kill spell mixed with a creature, and some really good kill spells cost 4, so, I mean, it's not bad. I might end up drawing it, probably, and playing it, but it's just really not quite that good. I mean, you get to pick the target. It's not they have to sack something, so it's not bad. Next up, Seafloor Oracle. When a merfolk you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Oh my god, we did not need a creature version of Bindant of Thassa. No thanks. Merfolk are already too damn good. I already hate them. Thank god Black-White Vampires is infinitely better already. Next, I have no idea because I don't read whatever the hell that is. Let me pull up the right tab. Shrine Atlasaur, maybe, because dinosaur names in Latin are probably not so easy to translate. Thanks, Korea. Anyway, it's a 4-cost rare, 3/4. If a source would deal damage to another dinosaur you control, prevent all but one of that damage. Oh my god, that is game ending. You better have a removal spell that's not based on damage for, well, actually it says another dinosaur you control, but still, you better have a removal spell for this because you will lose the game otherwise. I don't think there's a dinosaur in the game that has 1 toughness, and if there is, it's garbage. So let me translate this my way, from English to actual English. All of your dinosaurs gain indestructible. Or I should say protection from damage. That's probably a little bit more accurate. Next up, Sky Marcher Aspirant. It has Ascend. Oh boy. It has Flying as long as you have Ascend. Okay, at least it's a 2/1 for 1, because it sure as hell is never going to have Flying. It's basically a garbage version of that one Theros card. Alright, so we've got Paladin Affamé. That apparently stands for Starving Paladin. Let's see, Starving Paladin doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you gain life, untap it. And it's only a 3/3 for 2. That just does not make up for the fact that it doesn't untap. That's so unreliable, and it's only 1 extra point of damage. Now, it is a vampire, so you can get vampire tribal triggers, so it might be worth it, but it's like so borderline bad. I don't know. Next up, Swift Warden, costs 3, and it's a 3, it's 3, it's just everything's 3, okay, 3's everywhere. It has Flash. When it enters battlefield, target merfolk you control gains hexproof until end of turn, so it's a little saver spell, and also it's a attack chump blocker. It's also kind of like a pseudo haste on your opponent's end step. That's just an all-around good card. Just absolutely good. I mean, this is probably going to take the place of, like, Heroic Intervention, potentially. I mean, that one stops board wipes, but this is pretty damn good. Oh, keep in mind, it can also target itself. Next up, we've got Invocadora de Tilanai. Actually, it's Portuguese, so that might not be how you pronounce the L's, and I don't care, because that language needs to go away. By the way, obviously, it's Tilanali's summoner. I like Invocadora way better. It's a 1/1 for 2, which seems to be a theme. A lot of easily destroyable creatures in this set. Ascend, which is never going to happen. Every time it attacks, you may pay X, well, like X in colorless or generic, I'm going to get this right one of these times, and red. If you do, create X 1/1 elemental creature tokens tapped and attacking. That is ridiculous. Exile them at the beginning of your next end step unless you have the city's blessing. Then you keep them. Oh, this card's some broken trash. Gee, I'm so glad it only cost 2. That won't be just an absolute nuisance. This card's overpowered. It's just way too much. The fact that it's a self-contained way to feed Ascend is just ridiculous, and then the fact that you get to keep them is beyond ridiculous. Absolutely just a ridiculously overpowered card. Next up, whatever the hell this says, Time Stream Navigator, I guess. It's a 1/1 for 2, because of course it is. And it has Ascend, because of course it does. And you can pay 4, 2 blue, 2 not, and tap it, put Time Stream Navigator on the bottom of its owner's library. And of course you take an extra turn after this one, activate only if you have the city's blessing. So pretty much a dead card without Ascend, and not worth having in your deck if you're trying to go for Ascend. So yeah, you get an extra turn, but would you even need the extra turn if for 2 mana you dropped out something that was better than this card, like something that could do like 3 damage? You won't find something like that in blue, but still, I mean, for playing dual color, this isn't anywhere near as good as it looks, especially for a mythic. I mean, people see extra turn, they start getting all excited, but this just isn't that good of a card. Next up, the greatest card ever. I'm going to have to go get this in German. Überfall aus dem Wasser. I'm sure I pronounced that correctly. I'm half German, but it's not genetic. We are not born knowing how to pronounce German. So this is Watery Ambush, apparently. That seems like a lot of words for that. I swear, if Flüschersicherheit is the word for hexproof, I'm going to use that from now on. Anyway, it's a 4-cost enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 merfolk creature tokens with hexproof. That's annoying. And if you pay 4, target merfolk can't be blocked this turn. Great, more degenerate merfolk crap. Merfolk can go freaking die. Speaking of that, World Shaper. Oh boy, merfolk shaman, love those guys. They're not considered shaman, they're considered shapers, thus the title. Good job, wizards. And it says whenever World Shaper attacks, you may put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, and then when it dies, put all land cards from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. That's dumb. It's only a 3/3 for 4, so you'd almost hope it gets killed. It's kind of like a useless card, and then you get a bunch of lands so late in the game that you don't care. So another waste of a rare. So that is it for the card spoilers, but watch for the next video, which is going to ruin the entire storyline because Wizards just apparently sends art books to whoever wants them or something. I don't know. We never find out the stories behind this because Wizards is too embarrassed by their just ridiculous lack of, IP security in any way. It's just a joke. So watch for that shortly, and I'll see you guys next video.